Hello, my name is Aisha, and this is the discussion on Gordon Allport's personality trait theory. This is a picture of Gordon Allport. He was a pioneering psychologist, often referred to as one of the founders of personality. Allport rejected two of the dominant schools of thought in psychology at the time, which are psychoanalysis and behaviorism, in favor of his own approach that stressed the importance of individual differences and situational variables. Let's take a look into his early life. Gordon Allport was born in Montezuma, Indiana on November 11, 1897. He was the youngest of four brothers and was often described as shy, but also hardworking and studious. His mother was a school teacher and his father was a doctor who instilled in Allport a strong work ethic. His father believed that everyone should work as hard as they could and accept pay as only what their family needed to survive, so that there might be enough wealth to go around for everyone. One of the highlighted events in Allport's life was meeting Sigmund Freud. In an essay entitled Pattern and Growth in Personality, Allport recounted his experience of meeting psychiatrist Sigmund Freud. Upon entering Freud's office, he sat down nervously and told a story about a young boy he had seen on the train during his travels to Vienna. The boy, Allport explained, was afraid of getting dirty and refused to sit where a dirty-looking man had previously sat. Allport theorized that the child has acquired the behavior from his mother, who appeared to be very domineering. Okay, what do you think Freud would respond? After hearing the story, Freud studied Allport for a moment and then asked, "And was that little boy you?" Interesting, isn't it? Well, Allport viewed the experience as an attempt by Freud to turn a simple observation into an analysis of Allport's supposed unconscious memory of his own childhood. The experience would later serve as a reminder that psychoanalysis tended to dig too deeply, while behaviorism, on the other hand, according to Allport, they did not dig deeply enough. Instead, Allport chose to reject both psychoanalysis and behaviorism and embrace his own unique approach to personality. Now let's take a look on the trait theory of personality or personality trait theory that has been proposed by Allport. Okay, traits are characteristic ways of behaving, such as extraversion, introversion. An individual may fall along any point in the continuum, and where they fall determines how they will respond in various contexts. Have you heard about a person being introvert, extrovert, or ambivert? That's where the traits come from. I mean, the term traits we define whether that person is an introvert or not, or something like that. Okay, Allport and Harry Albert worked to two most comprehensive English language dictionaries available and extracted around 18,000 personality describing words. From the list, they reduced the number of words to approximately 4,500 personality describing adjectives, which they considered to describe observable and relatively permanent personality traits. Allport then categorized those traits that he learned into three different levels. There are cardinal traits, central traits, and secondary traits. Cardinal traits are traits that dominate an individual's entire personality. Cardinal traits are thought to be quite rare. Central traits are common traits that make up our personalities. Traits such as kindness, honesty, and friendliness are all examples of central traits. The last one is secondary traits. These are traits that are only present under certain conditions and circumstances. An example of secondary trait would be getting nervous before delivering a speech to a large group of people. Or another example would be like getting started when someone asks you unexpected question. Okay, now let's take a look on the limitation of the trait perspective or why this theory get criticism. Trait perspectives are often criticized for their predictive value. Critics argue that traits do a poor job of predicting behavior in every situation. Some psychologists argue that the situational variables, such as environmental factors, are more influential in determining behavior than traits are. Other psychologists argue that a combination of traits and situational variables influences behavior. For example, Brian is teased a lot but he rarely responds aggressively, while Josie is teased very rarely but responds aggressively every time. These two children, Brian and Josie, might be acting aggressively the same number of times, so trait theories would suggest that their behavior patterns or even their personalities are equivalent. However, psychologists who criticize the trait approach will argue that Brian and Josie are very different children. Another limitation of trait theories is that they require personal observations or subjective self-reports to measure, that requiring individuals to be introspective enough to know their own behaviors. Apart from that, another criticism is that trait theories do not explain why an individual behaves in certain ways. Trait theories do provide information about people and about which traits cause which behaviors. However, there is no indication as to why these traits interact in the way what they do. In my opinion, it is good to have the knowledge of this personality trait theory by Gordon Allport, as we teachers need to at least have a little interest in our students' personality so that we can bring the best out of them instead of discriminate them based on their behavior. Instead of labeling them as a slow learners or lazy learners or someone that do not have interest in learning, we as teachers at least should discover the situation they are facing, and one of them is including their personality, why they are acting that way, why they are reacting towards our learning process, like that. The same goes towards those students that are too hyper in the classroom that we can't cater them. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you for listening, and I hope you gain something from this video. Thank you.